You may not be aware, as the media seems to never report on this, but France has quite a big problem with churches mysteriously burning down. Now, given we're in Starmer's Brave New World, I have to emphasise that no group or groups have been found responsible for any of this yet, so I'd urge you to be careful when speculating. After all, you don't want to spend 3 years in jail for having an opinion. The official line is that these churches go up for no known reason. It's like a form of spontaneous combustion. That was the case with the church yesterday, called the Church of the Immaculate Conception in Saint-Omer. In the blaze, in which thankfully no people were killed, the spire burned down. Now, this is a church that was built in 1859 and survived both world wars. All we've got from the officials is thoughts and prayers with the people of Saint-Omer, and an investigation is underway to determine the exact cause of the fire. I think that's about the best you're going to get these days. Then a month ago we had a cathedral fire in Rouen that was put down to renovation works, the same reason actually for the famous fire at Notre Dame a few years ago. Now, it's not impossible to think that renovation works could cause a fire. Accidents do happen in life, but it just seems a bit odd, doesn't it? I mean, who's doing the renovation? 5-year-olds with flamethrowers? Then you have posts like this on Twitter outlining the sheer amount of churches and cathedrals that have gone up in the past few years. But don't worry, the left-leaning fact-checkers are here to tell you you're wrong about absolutely everything. These churches haven't been burned to the ground. While they are correct in saying that this map is inaccurate and saying all of these cases were arson, they also state at the end of their own article, and wanted to hide this bit, that many of the examples were actually vandalism and theft too. So like most leftist ideologues then, they will label something as misinformation when it misses out mild to moderate factual details, but when the broader context shows there is a problem, they'll completely ignore that. So we could at least say there seems to be a problem here. I mean, all of these churches could have just set fire during renovations by complete accident, and maybe all of the attacks on them were done by French people called Jean-François. There is information coming out of France now. Here's a press release translated into English. Apparently a quote-unquote man has been tamed after the major church fire at Saint-Omer. The man, born in 1985, had been known to authorities for quote-unquote similar acts and apparently lived in a hostel. It was also the case from Nantes Cathedral a few years ago, where a cathedral dating from 1621, that's astonishing, isn't it, also faced serious arson. But we did get an identity of the alleged arsonist on that one. It was a 39-year-old asylum seeker from Rwanda who was also a volunteer at the church. Now again, while we can't speculate under the pain of Starmer's Stasi on what's really going on here, it does make you think, what if this was happening to mosques in France? What if it was happening to synagogues in France or Hindu temples? If that was the case, I dare say we'd be hearing a lot more about this sort of thing, about how toxic Europe is, about white privilege, about how minorities feel ostracised and scared. I would assume then that speculation would be welcomed by Starmer and his ilk, celebrated even. However, personally, I'm pretty concerned about what's going on, not because I want to blame any group or attack anybody. I don't condone any of that. Personally, I'm a Christian, and I'm worried to see what's going on in France. Secondly, I'm also sure that many people who may not hold Christian belief but do hark back to post-Christian nations are also concerned here. They're seeing their heritage go up in flames, and we're not given any reason why. We're not even allowed to talk about it. However, I do think the strategy of Starmer and other globalist progressives across Europe is starting to backfire. We're told just to trust their line on everything because they'd never lie to us, despite lying to us all the time and seemingly not caring about us, our identity, or our historic culture. This is why they really are setting up a tinderbox for the future, in my view. These are just my thoughts, however. Do let me know what you think down below, and do consider subscribing to the channel.